And welcome back to another episode of Underdog Podcast. So, for all those so-called Florida residents out there, whatever, in the Gulf Coast, hurricane. What is it? Hurricane or tropical storm Elsa? Kind of hit a little bit yesterday. Some of the, I guess tailwinds of the storm or whatever, the outer skirts of the storm. And then early this morning, I was up watching movies because I fucked up my sleep schedule yesterday. So I was up late last night and I heard the rain and stuff like that. And then this morning I was going to go to the gym, but I was like, nah, I don't want to get caught in a heavy rain if I go to the gym. Even though if I had went to the gym, I would have not got caught in a heavy rain. I should have just got my ass up and stuck to my schedule. Let's just try to do some stretching around the house and stuff like that. And I can do some other things around the house and be active for the day. But since no gym and stuff like that, I figure I might as well go ahead and get an early start on the podcast. Got a couple topics to talk about here today. Some things that just kind of stood out to me. This whole Delta variant thing. I didn't want to talk about it for the longest, but I keep hearing this shit, and it's like really getting on my fucking nerves, man. It's like, would they stop with this? Would they stop with this? And I kind of stopped talking about COVID-19, coronavirus, whatever, for a while, just because, I didn't talk about it for months and months on this. Obviously, if you're a follower of the podcast, you already know how my thoughts are about it. And if you're new to this episode or whatever of the podcast itself, well, you go back and check my other catalogs. And for the most part, it's bullshit. I'm going to call it bullshit. Conspiracy theorists, crazy people have been calling this for the longest, right? We are now living a conspiracy theory. You think conspiracy theories don't exist? Don't worry about it. They're not conspiracy theories, they're facts. So you just drop the whole word. You got to worry about it no more. So we're now on the Delta variant. And you probably been paying attention to the news. You probably seen some of this shit. Maybe your friends, family members were like, oh, yeah, you heard about a Delta variant? And you're like, Delta who? Yes. Obviously, it's make up words and stuff. But if you know how viruses work, we already been talking about this on this podcast, how it's going to happen. There were going to be variants. Even as they launched the COVID-19 vaccines, we knew there was going to be variants. This is what viruses do. They mutate, right? No, nothing surprising here. But another scare tactic, because it's an ongoing thing. They want to continually scare us to keep it in a perpetual state of fear over and over and over and over and over and yet again, over and over again. So this is an article from CNN because they're so amazing. It says the Delta variant now makes up more than half of the coronavirus cases in U.S., CDC says. I mean, the CDC credibility is shot. They ain't shit. CNN's credibility is shot. They ain't shit. So we're going to make fun of these people. What is this ad trying to play? Okay. It says a Delta variant, a more transmissible, of course it is, and possibly more dangerous, of course it is, strain of coronavirus. Now it makes up more than half of all new COVID-19 infections. I'll be honest with you, I forgot people were still getting infected. I shouldn't say I forgot. I stopped paying attention. I've been stopped looking at numbers towards the end of last year anyways. And yeah, I just stopped paying attention. And I think for the most part, a lot of us stopped paying attention. Especially in Florida, everywhere we go and stuff. A lot of people, after the CDC saying, optional for masks and stuff, that's their recommended guidelines. Kiss my ass. A lot of places around my city started putting that up and adopting it. Some places have been shut, just took the mask off anyways. Like my gym been stopped doing that shit. And it's glad to see people just be themselves again, man. You understand how close we are to death on a day-to-day basis. Like, it's all risk management. That's all you're doing. Every day you're assessing your risk management. Whether you're going to live or die every time you jump in your car. Hell, you might fall out your fucking bed and die. You might die in your sleep. I mean, there's a possibility of death around the corner at all times. It is what it is, man. You either live your life in fear or you pull your head at your ass and see the sunshine somewhere. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So it goes on to say Delta accounts for 51.7% of new infections in the U.S. according to the CDC. The B.1.1.7 or alpha variant, which has dominated for months, now accounts for 28.7% of cases, the CDC said. Okay, so I'm just going to interject real quick before I read the next couple of paragraphs. A little quote from your famous person, Dr. Anthony Fauci, little fucking idiot. So my thing is, we went from Alpha to Delta. It's right. I didn't know it was a Greek fraternity. All I'm saying is, how the fuck we go from Alpha to Delta? Is it Greek fraternity? Or are we doing? How are we doing it? Is there a Beta? Is there a Charlie? Are we going Bravo? How are we doing this? Anyways, what happened to B and C? Right? We went from A to D. What happened to B and C? Maybe the article will explain it. No one CNN it probably won't, but I try to give people at least the benefit of the doubt. It's a quote from Dr. Fauci. If ever there was a reason to get vaccinated, this is it. No. For me, if ever there was a reason not to get vaccinated, this is it. Because, man, it's like the flu shot. You gotta get a flu shot, and you gotta get a flu vaccine every year because the virus keeps mutating every year, which is incredible. Because I didn't know viruses mutated to that such a degree, that fucking fast. Because we don't talk about it. Now, this past year, I learned a little bit more about viruses, and I kind of realized they don't know shit about shit. Science, whatever they be talking about, none of it makes sense. Probably because treatments is better. That's why they got HIV ads of treatment pill ads during the NBA finals. Can black people. How racist is that, right? I was watching NBA finals last night. I had to cut that shit off, man. I had to cut it off. I think I turned it down at one point while I was playing video games. I was watching on my phone, and then I was texting too. And then at the same time, I was like, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna watch the stats, man." I just check the box score. That's what, because man, it's in there. You got HIV treatment pill, right? And every time I see HIV ads, it's always black people in it. Then at the same time, I seen this new show on ABC talking about 1986 and a black family. I was like, oh, is this original? There's something different. And next thing you know, it says the Wonder Years coming soon or coming this fall. The Wonder Years? You telling me y'all fucking race swap the whole Wonder Years? You you rebooted the Wonder Years with black people. It's so fucking stupid. But whatever. That's off subject. I just had to say that to somebody. I just had to get it out of there. So it says the variant poses a significant threat, blah, blah. The variant is not only more transmittable and more. Okay. So we already knew this was going to happen, right? We already knew this was going to happen. It was going to be more of this, more of that. Everything has to be more than what it was before, than its predecessor, right? It's way more dangerous. Is that sunlight coming out? My fault. I had the window open in my room. I'm like, oh, the hurricane and stuff. I forgot I'm in Florida. It could be a fucking hurricane and the sun will still be out because it's Florida. And what gets me about this stuff is it's always the next thing, right? It's always so more dangerous. It's always so more this. It's always so more that. Yet we felt like we should already live through the most dangerous thing because by now everyone has some immunity built towards it. Or your everyone's immune system. If you're still fucking alive, your body has already adapted towards it. Right? I don't know. I just thought that was science, so I'm just throwing it out there. But everyone has already some type of defense mechanism built towards it, right? I mean, I got a lot of fucking shit wrong with my body, but yet somehow I can keep my immune system strong. You take care of your body. We really don't take care of our bodies like we think we do. And that's why we need medications, treatment, vaccines, and stuff like that. The medical industry is just an endless fucking game of here's a pill, here's a treatment, here's a pill, here's a treatment. No cures, right? No cures. We rush for a vaccine, no cures. So what we gonna keep doing? Having what? What we gonna get to Zeta or is this what? Damn. Well, I can't remember the brevity. I can't even think of the names of it all. You know what I mean, though. We're going after what is it? We're gonna go to Echo, Fox. Right? We're just gonna keep going. Gulf, Hilo, India. Like we just gonna keep going and going and going, naming off these variants. It's been a year and we're already on Delta. I guess it's been over a year. Seeing how it happened in 2019, but still, like, at what point do we all say, it's enough of this, man? It's enough of this. No one gives a fuck. It says we are already starting to see places with low vaccination rates starting to have relatively big spikes from the Delta variant. We've seen this in Arkansas, Missouri, Wyoming. Those are the places where we're going to see more hospitalizations and deaths as well, unfortunately, said Dr. Ashish Jha, dean of the Brown University School of Public Health. Well, that's not doom and gloom at all, huh? So you're telling me if I get vaccinated, it will help me? Even though the vaccine is based on an alpha variant? But if I already been exposed to this, then my immune system help me? It's funny, they never want your individual body, to take care of itself. They always say, hey, don't worry, we'll be there for you. We'll help you out. Here's some assistance. Here, take this pill. And never say, hey, get your ass up, exercise, get some proper rest, lower your cortisol levels, keep stress down, physical stress, emotional stress, psychological stress, keep that down as much as possible because they know that's hard, right? Actually, you know what? It's only hard because the way the world, at least in America, the way it's set up, they don't want you to. They want you to work yourself to death. And that literally is the thing. Work yourself to death. You can work yourself to death. You can get chronic fatigue or chronic fatigue syndrome. You can have all these different disabilities. It can happen to anybody and everybody. That's something I had to come to terms with. So it's my own personal experience. It's something I had to come to terms with. And I know I often talk about, every now and then I talk about medical issues because I'm trying to get it out. Because people don't talk about like medical issues. There's a lot of us walking around that look fine or completely fucked up. And I come to realize that. And you gotta accept it. And you gotta accept it. Because once you accept it, you could try to pass on your experiences to the next person. That's all I'm trying to do. If I can pass on whatever knowledge I learned to the next person, maybe I can help one person's life. And actually, I got a message today from someone on my blog responding to something about a medical issue and stuff. And they well, they said they appreciate my message. So I really appreciate that because that's just what it's all about, man. This is how we connect with each other as human beings. That's why I do this podcast. To connect with each other as human beings, to share information with each other, man. Cause maybe my experience might not help a million people, but if I can help one fucking person, just have a little bit better, brighter perspective on their day or on their life. I mean, god damn it, man. Isn't that what humanity is about? But yeah, you get articles like this from CNN and people like Dr. fucking Fauci ready to tell you, oh, go out here and make sure you get this, make sure you get that vaccine and stuff like that. And you know what? I want to pull this up because I had forgot about this. Let's see. I know I saved it. I had bookmarked it. I had seen it the other day, and I wasn't surprised by it, but it's like, wow, way to just come out and fucking say it, right? I'm gonna go. It's on my Twitter page. I had bookmarked it. Oh man, let me just stay off here real quick because a whole bunch of stuff happens. So this is from Disclosed TV, and this is Jen Psaki, White House press secretary, because she's amazing. I wonder if is she naturally ginger? But anyways, I'm looking at her roots. I'm going too much into it. Okay, so she. I mean, the headline says it speaks for itself. Says a quote from Psaki saying, "We will be going door to door to Americans who have not been vaccinated." Now, if you listen closely, it's not a direct quote because she interjects like two words, but it's still the same thing. And people in the comments like, "Oh, yeah, that's a fake quote," and blah blah. You didn't really. No. It's getting to the core of what she said, and not as she tried to do it. She kind of glossed over real quick. But this is in connection with the whole, Delta variant. They want you to get vaccinated and all this stuff. The push for all this is wild. So listen to this.
Healthcare settings and respond to hotspots.
Actually, hold on. I think it was the beginning.
The president will outline in more healthcare settings and respond to hotspots. The president will outline 5 areas his team is focused on to get more Americans vaccinated. 1, targeted community-by-community door-to-door outreach to get remaining Americans vaccinated by ensuring they have the information they need on how both safe and accessible the vaccine is. 2, a renewed emphasis on getting the vaccines to more primary care doctors and physicians, something that we've seen in more healthcare settings and respond.
All right, so that was it. The clip was only 26 seconds long, but we're gonna go back and just kind of listen to what she said again.
To get more Americans vaccinated. 1, targeted community by.
So the goal is to get more Americans vaccinated. 1, target community by community.
Door-to-door outreach to get remaining Americans vaccinated by ensuring they have the information they need on how both safe and accessible the vaccine.
Community by community, door-to-door outreach. And I had even put the captions up just to make sure I heard her and I could read it as well. Now, I don't know what the fuck that sounds like to you, but community, one by one, targeted by community, door-to-door outreach. I mean, Jehovah's Witnesses come to your door all the time, right? You know, you got your, like in my neighborhood, there's a no soliciting sign. Doesn't matter. People still come to my door, knocking and selling stuff. Let me not jinx it because it hasn't been done in a while. But you have all these things going on, right? People come to your door for whatever fucking reason. My kids' friends come to the door and stuff like that. Want them to come outside. Amazon's at my house often because I'm giving random shit. Or not random shit. I'm getting like different supplies for the house and stuff. 1, 2 different things that I don't want to go to the store looking for. So people come to your door. Now imagine someone coming to your door saying, hey, we just going by door to door. We're a so-called community. They'll have some nice little name. We're the healthy inspection community for your so-called state or city or county or whatever. And we're just kind of curious, you know, trying to get a grasp on, you know, if you or your family have been vaccinated. Now, they're coming door to door asking for your personal medical information, right? Now, if you give out your personal medical information willingly without being asked, that's your own, you know, that's your life. I do it all the time, right? When I talk about stuff, I'm sharing my stories. I'm sharing my life experiences. That's okay. I don't give y'all full exact details, and I still keep a lot of stuff to myself, right? But for someone to come up and no one in your fucking life has ever come to your door and asked you to get a chickenpox vaccination, right? If you're my age, 34, you never had a chickenpox vaccination because your ass grew up with the chickenpox, and the generation before you grew up with the measles. But guess what? My kids never had chickenpox. Why? Because they have chickenpox vaccination. And we want to know what else comes with those type of with those vaccinations, you know, autism and all this other stuff. But hey, just throwing it out there. So imagine someone coming to your house, knocking on your door and asking, you know, have you had the flu shot this year? What vaccinations do you have? And then they drop the, you know, the golden nugget that which they want to talk about anyways. Have you been vaccinated for COVID-19? And then they start talking about the Delta variant and then try to scare you. Who the fuck wants to answer the door and deal with that? And the thing about this is, does it start here? And if it does start there, where does it end? Because time and time again, now this is coming from the fucking press secretary of the White House, right? A so-called perceived legitimate government, right? Completely illegitimate, but doesn't matter because you guys don't care. So we're talking about this government, right? Coming door to door in a so-called free society, free America, right? Independence Day, Juneteenth, everybody's so fucking free, right? Or I guess people say they're not free yet. This is allowed. And this is being said, yet no one really questions it. Coming door to door, asking me about whether or not I got a vaccine or making sure I get vaccinated. Do you really want those type of problems in your life? Now think of who the people will be to be part of this targeted community by community door to door outreach program. Are they going to be regular people? Are they going to be trained government agents? I mean, are they going to be trained government agents undercover looking like regular people? I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. It's kind of suspicious. Actually, no, it's not suspicious. It's blatant, outright fucked up. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do this. But this is the path that we're going down. And I just had to throw that out there because you know what? Why not? So the next topic I want to talk about was I seen this yesterday, and just how quickly someone who's a billionaire their wealth can shoot down and then shoot back up. Now, during this past year, I think Jeff Bezos supposed to lost his money and stuff, and he lost his money because because of the divorce with his wife and blah blah blah. But if you understood a little bit of economics, a little business savvy, you would know that, and especially being an investor, Jeff Bezos is gonna get his money back. Didn't even take him a year. It says Jeff Bezos hits a wealth record of $211 billion on Pentagon move. Pentagon move. Pentagon. DOD. Department of Defense. That's right. You're United States government. I keep saying that how these private corporations, these business entities, these tech moguls, they're always in association with the governments and for the most part, too, probably central banks around the world. Notice how they all work hand in hand together. Meanwhile, probably behind the scenes, they're also all vying for power against each other. Because that's how they can't help themselves. So this is an article on MSN.com, but it's from Bloomberg. It says Jeff Bezos is leaving the rest of the world behind when it comes to wealth accumulation. The world's richest man reached a record of $211 billion net worth Tuesday after Amazon.com Inc. shares rose 4.7%. 4.7%. That's huge. And we were talking about stock market, but because he probably owns, I don't know, millions and millions of shares, and the shares probably what up 3,000 something like that, anyways. So 3,000 something like that a share. So I let you know, hey, you do the math. It's a lot of fucking money, right? That's a lot of money. And you want to know how these companies get so big? Well, association with the government, and it's right here in front of our face. It says after the Pentagon announced it was canceling a cloud computing contract with rival Microsoft Corporation. The rally raised Bezos' fortune by $8.4 billion, according to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index. Now, it doesn't say that the Pentagon got a contract with them. Let's see if it says that in the article. But based on that alone, guess what? Insider trading, those who are in the know, who's been following this stuff closely, already knows that, well, if Pentagon canceled their cloud computing contract with Microsoft, where else are they going to go for cloud computing? There's only Microsoft and Amazon. You have Microsoft Azure and you have Amazon Web Services. Where else are you going to go? AWS, which is their cloud service. Yeah, there's nowhere else to go. I say that bad. There are other places to go, but they're only going to deal with huge corporations because they want access to their data. You don't think it's a Pentagon? You think they're gonna make a deal with someone and not get something in return? Hey, I need some of that data y'all got, man. Data is number one commodity. I mean, we can't own data. You can own your personal data for the most part, even though you don't own it. Somebody sold it all the time on black markets and stuff like that. But at the same time, your data is a huge commodity. It says the last time anyone in Bloomberg ranked near this amount was in January when Tesla Inc.'s Elon Musk briefly hit 210 billion. Blah 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 blah. Stock soaring. Bezos. Okay, here we go. I want to hear about the deal. The Pentagon said Tuesday it was scrapping a $10 billion cloud computing contract awarded in 2019 to Microsoft Corporation after several years of wrangling between the government and some of the biggest U.S. tech companies over the deal. The decision indicates it plan to split the work between Microsoft and rival Amazon. Mackenzie Scott, blah, blah, blah. Oh, come on, man. You see how they gloss over that? The actual information, that actual important, information, details were left out of the article. What we really care about is the Pentagon, the Department of Defense. the United States government having access to Microsoft and Amazon cloud services, having access to the data. Because don't be confused, don't get it twisted. You know they got access to the data because the United States government, because they got the weapons, because they can inflict. It's almost like a check and balance amongst each other between the government, central banks, and big corporations. Right? Whether it's big tech, whether it's big railroad, where oil, it doesn't matter. You can see there seems to be always a checks and balance amongst themselves because they're always fighting for power, resources, control over each other. Right? And it seems like government is an industry, whether you want to believe it or not. It's a type of corporation, but it's an industry. Obviously, you have your private corporations, which go public and stuff, Microsoft, Amazon, and then you have your banks. So you see these three entities. Oh man, the three-headed monster. I did not mean to make that comparison. I can't believe that shit just popped up in my head like that. That freaked me out now I think about it. It literally is a three-headed monster, and these three-headed monsters control every aspect of our lives. Right? Private corporations, IPO, public corporations, whatever you want to call them. Amazon, Walmart, Microsoft, Facebook, Google, whatever, right? Apple, central banks, Federal Reserve, Bank of International Settlements, World Bank, IMF, which is not, I guess not, it's not a bank, but it's an organization where they set international monetary policies. European Central Bank for my European listeners and stuff. Man, all the different central banks in the different countries in the continent of Africa and stuff, and in the Middle East. Governments. Those three entities control our lives, right? And we let them control our lives. But you see how these news articles don't go into something that's very important. If the Pentagon is using them, what are they using them for? Other than just cloud computing. You telling me the Department of Defense can create their own private networks? You think they're gonna run top secret above top secret clearance, which you don't even realize? Some people don't even realize there's levels above top secret clearance. So I was going for my top secret clearance, I realized they was like, oh yeah, you get top secret clearance, but then there's levels above that. I'm like, oh shit. Didn't realize that. I figured there was a level above, but now I don't know how many levels. I don't even know where it stops at. And then the scary part is you don't even know who has the highest security clearance in the country. It's not the president. It's not the president of the United States. I just want you to know that. I don't know who the fuck it is. Probably should look that up one day. But just to show you guys the connection of how government is always behind. And they got their hands in the cookie jar and everything because they need to be in the know. Right? They got to know this. They got to know that. They want to be able to have some kind of leverage over these other industries, over these other entities. Just to, if anything, keep them in check or monitor them, wherever the case may be. But this article didn't really talk about it. Because how many people actually know that the Pentagon has access to Microsoft Cloud Service and Amazon Web Services? AWS is used in sports stats. Like I don't know, the NBA does it. I know the NFL definitely does it. They have a contract with them. Those same sports stats are also put in the EA's Madden NFL game because the NFL sponsorship license agreements. You see all these little tidbits of data going all over the place, and you telling me the Pentagon doesn't have access to none of that? Here's the thing. Even if they don't, do you have a hard time believing that they don't? Like, will we ever actually know? Have you ever look up government contracts? I think, who was it? I can't think of her name. Was it Tori Says? I think it was her. I'll listen to the show. And it was a while back. And she brought up government contracts. And I already kind of knew about those things anyways, because being on military base, being in the Air Force, active duty for 12 years, you see a lot of government contracts and stuff like that. Everybody always wants a government contract. It's like a VA loan too. It's guaranteed. It's guaranteed. It's guaranteed. Guaranteed by taxpaying dollars or wherever the money comes from. It probably still comes from taxpayers' dollars, but it's guaranteed. So everybody wants that, right? Everybody wants that, and everybody would give up whatever information they need to give up because it's a deal. You think, oh yeah, okay, yeah, you can use some of our cloud services, but we'll treat you like a regular person. You think you say you have a small business and you have a deal with Amazon to use their web services for your different internet activities or whatever case you got going on, wherever for cloud computing, storage, something like that. You think your deal with Amazon will be the same as the Pentagon's deal with Amazon? Fuck no. Fuck no. It'll never happen. And see, these people, these entities are on a different level playing. I shouldn't have said that. I don't want to say level playing field. They're on a they're on a different platform, different plateau, and how they interact with each other as opposed to us, the regular person. Is it something to think about? And then how damn, this is from Bloomberg as well. I didn't realize this was from Bloomberg. So another article here from Bloomberg. It says Biden elevates ransomware threat to national security priority. So I know we've been talking about cyber attacks and cover the whole ransomware thing. I think they want $70 million in Bitcoin, which is, like I said, I think I said it before last episode of the podcast when I was talking about this. This whole Bitcoin shit is trackable. So why would you hack into a system and then want Bitcoin as ransom to be paid to you, knowing it's trackable? Why would you not use Monero, which is literally private money or private digital currency? Why would you not use Monero? Why would you not use something else that is way less trackable than Bitcoin? Why would you use something in such outdated technology? Right? It's outdated. It's slow. Why would you transact in Bitcoin if you're so skilled of a hacker amongst this hacking group? See, so, like none of that shit makes sense. But they'll tell you the truth about Bitcoin, even though they tell you the truth about Bitcoin because they keep taking down everybody through these Bitcoin transactions. They said I read the article where they talked about they have the tools. They have the tools. Hell, a quantum computer could break the encryption of a Bitcoin, or actually a quantum computer break the encryption of everything. Your 256, your hash encryption algorithm, which I think developed by NSA. Like, hell, the internet is developed by the government. These hash encryption is developed by the government. Interesting, right? So this article goes on to say President Joe Biden will take on a rapidly growing threat of ransomware against companies and localities by convening key officials to discuss administration strategy in the wake of the high-profile attack by hackers. So Biden will meet with various agency leaders behind closed door on Wednesday, which is what, today, right? To discuss ransomware and ways to combat it. The White House said in a statement on Tuesday night that called the risk a quote-unquote national security and economic security priority for administration. We've been calling it out on this podcast, and I know people across the internet have been calling it out as well, especially those of us in the crypto community, knowing that every time they're doing these ransomware attacks, they keep trying to get crypto. They keep trying to get Bitcoin. Like I said, why Bitcoin? It's setting up a whole narrative. And to say that once something, I said before, once something's labeled national security, it basically means all gloves off of the government. We'll do whatever the fuck we feel like, where we need to take these people down. And when I talk about the government, there's nefarious people in the government, but majority of the people that go along with the government, they either are completely ignorant by choice or they're completely ignorant because they're just unaware, right? And a lot of people just go on because they got a job to do and they don't want to lose their job. You know, just regular people trying to make sure they collect their pension, their retirement. Probably trying to pay for their kids' education, their sporting events, and they'll go on about their lives and stuff. So you, you know, as you try to figure out who to blame, you'll be spending the rest of your life because it depends on your perspective on, you know, who's to blame on all this. Is everyone to blame? Because if ignorance is, you know, not an actual defense against the law, right? Because you don't know something doesn't mean that you could have not taken the opportunity to try to know, especially in the days of digital information. You can hop on the internet and figure out a lot of shit whenever the fuck you feel like it. But anyways, to put this at a national security level means is of high importance. Yet we have really not heard too much about it in mainstream media. And then economic security. How is it economic security when they're going after these corporations and they're asking for Bitcoin? How about, I don't know, just don't pay them, right? You want Bitcoin? Don't pay them with Bitcoin. Or, well, what they're going to do anyway is pay them with Bitcoin because they know they can track it. Like I said, you see how I'm going with this? When you break down these stories, they don't make sense. And it's not. I was watching the movie Conspiracy Theory last night with Mel Gibson and Julia Roberts, and it was funny because they were low key making fun of conspiracy theorists, saying they're crazy stuff. Meanwhile, at the same time, proving that conspiracy theorists are right. But it's not like it's a stretch of imagination. And they showed you during the movie how you figure stuff out. Read a different article, make the different connections, ask certain questions. Because none of the stuff is hidden. It's all in our face. They tell us what they're doing. So it's not a conspiracy theory. I mean, they're conspiring because they're committing crimes, but it's not a stretch of imagination what these people are doing. They tell you what they're doing. On one hand, Bitcoin is trackable because the FBI can track the transactions of Bitcoin and figure out they already took people down and stuff and got the money back. And they seized the money. And yet these ransomware people, this Revil or whatever, all these hacker groups, or if it's the same hacker groups, or they say they're from Russia, whatever the case may be. I mean, it's lies anyways, but let's go along with their little fake narrative. If these hacker groups are seeing that these other hacker groups or previous hacker groups or whatever got taken down and got their Bitcoin seized, why the hell would you still ask for fucking Bitcoin? You're so smart and intelligent that you can hack into these infrastructures, these cybersecurity infrastructures. Yet you're not smart enough to not ask for Bitcoin? Ask for something different? Does that even make sense? And now it's a national security and economic security priority for the administration. So that's up there with COVID-19, right? So now we're fighting cyber attacks and we're fighting COVID. Oh man, we always got something we're fighting, huh? As we leave Afghanistan, now we worry about Russia and cyber attacks. We worry about COVID-19 and Delta variants. Yet, kind of makes you wonder, are they actual issues or not? Because like I showed you guys the other day, cyber attacks are always happening. Trojan horses, ransomwares, malwares, phishing scams, they're always happening. So you're not going to be able to prevent them all, but you got to be able to have some type of risk management assessment, or you need to be able to keep the damage to a minimum. Yet somehow they keep asking for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is trackable, so you're not really losing anything because you pay the ransom, you get your data back, and you take the people down because you got the Bitcoin, because you can track it. So is that really a problem or not? It seems like an inconvenience, but problem, no. And then you notice they didn't list these 200 companies the other day. I still have yet to know what these companies are that got affected by it, other than it was talking about the Swedish company. That's it. What are the other companies, man? What if it's Microsoft? What if it's Amazon Cloud Services, right? Amazon Web Services, excuse me. What if it's that? What if they got hit in this ransomware attack? Did Jeff Bezos cough up some money in Bitcoin to pay off? Like, Like, what happened, man? But as this gets elevated, you have to question what's the next step. So it says confronting ransomware is gaining new urgency for administration following an audacious attack over the U.S. holiday weekend that affected more than 1,000 businesses. Now it's fucking 1,000. How we go from 200 companies to 1,000 companies? What the fuck, man? Oh my god. 200 to 1,000. 1,000 businesses. You can't think of 1,000 businesses. You can't name 1,000 people in your life. Yeah, there's 1,000 businesses affected with victims in at least 17 countries. Oh man, it's ramping up. You see how this narrative is ramping up? It says, according to cybersecurity researchers, that's so generic. So now I gotta take the data based on cybersecurity researchers. I'm sorry, that's really generic. Like, can I get a little more specificity, some details on exactly who and how this data was collected, and who collected this data and how the data was collected? Oh man, I just got freaked out. I heard a noise. It's probably the cat somewhere. I thought the cat was behind me. Oh, that freaked me out. It's too early in the day to be freaked out by random shit. So it says a Russia-linked ransomware gang known as Revo. So we know about these people and what we already talked about. Let's see. Cities and towns and local institutions, including hospitals, have fallen victim to attacks. Newberger in the virtual meeting told, who the hell is Newberger? Did I skip over that? I don't think so. Told the mayors that a recent pilot program to bolster defense of electric utilities would, quote unquote, soon be followed by similar initiatives to strengthen the cyber resilience of other critical sectors like pipelines, water, and chemicals. The White House said the statement did not elaborate. So Newberg must be some type of top White House administrator in cybersecurity or something like that. She pledged the local and state governments would, quote, have the full resources of the federal government when responding to cyber incident, including the assistance of cybersecurity professionals from the FBI and the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, end quote. Now, we talked about before, those of you who are new to the podcast, all the different, there's like 17. You gotta be fucking kidding me. 17. Q, a letter Q, 17. This numerology shit pops up, man. These occultist stuff, like, it keeps popping up. It keeps popping up. These are not random numbers. 17 nations. 17. Is 17 a prime number, right? Obviously, it's an odd number. 17 countries. What is there? 17 intelligence agencies, and the 18th intelligence agency to be added on is is Space Force, right? So, and then a lot of these Department of Defense's branches, and all these, they all have some type of cybersecurity. So you got all these fucking agencies, yet still can't prevent these attacks or keep the damage at a minimum. And now, of course, you never disrespect your opponent. You give credit where credit is due, but it's hard to trust anything that the government says. Like, I think there are real threats out there to national security in the United States of America, but in the sense of the government, I don't think there's actual too many real threats to just the regular citizens. It's like, yo, you might not like Russia or China, but it's not the people that live there. It's the government. Sometimes we have an association between government and the citizens when there should always be a complete disassociation between the government and the citizens. Because if you haven't paid attention this past year, government be on some complete bullshit that the citizens does not agree with. Now there will be a population of citizens that could always wholeheartedly completely agree with the government, but those people are they're in their own world. Let's be honest, bro. They're in their own world. They're special. I won't call them sheep, but I'm gonna call them special. Now you determine what type of special they are, but I'm gonna call them special. That's not me. I'm not gonna personally sit here cold-heartedly, blindly, have faith and trust in some entity that I don't know, that I don't know the real motives, that I don't really trust, that I'll probably never fully interact with. But that's just how I feel about it. But some people, you might think there are real threats to the whole country as a whole. All right, well, we have this whole infrastructure and Department of Defense and all these different agencies and stuff under the executive branch, which your so-called president, whatever he is resides over. Yet, we're still having trouble with all these ransomware attacks. Like, if it's gonna happen, okay, then let it be something sophisticated, complicated. And you give credit where credit is due. Like I said, you don't hack into some of these infrastructures and then ask for Bitcoin. It seems pretty idiotic, to be honest with you. Doesn't sound like something who somebody or some entity, some group that can hack into these infrastructures would do. Doesn't make no logical sense whatsoever. Now they could be asking for something else, and then the narrative is out there is Bitcoin, but whatever. We'll just go with what they're saying, even though we know it's bullshit. Or yeah, it's bullshit. It says, even so, the assaults have continued even after the issue was discussed at the Biden summit. Basically talking to Putin. Putin, you need to stop this, even though Putin's like, we're not doing nothing, guy. And you either gonna believe Putin or you're gonna believe Biden. I mean, hell, as far as I know, they both could be fucking liars. And this is gonna all be one big ass show. And none of us know exactly what's going on. But it's interesting to keep seeing these articles because sometimes I try not to go too deep and harp on too many real world issues, and sometimes I want to keep it lighthearted, maybe some celebrity or pop culture news, sports news, stuff like that, or just maybe other different things off the top of my head, or trying to dig into ancient knowledge or anything like different things like that. But it's just some shit that just it has to be talked about, man. Like, we really gotta sit down and really think about what is going on as far as these corporations, these central banks, and these governments. Like I said, like talking about the whole central bank digital currencies, the cryptocurrencies, digital assets and stuff. They're literally changing financial infrastructure in front of our eyes. Yet, it's less than 1% of the world's population has a fucking clue. And even those that are into crypto still don't have a fucking clue. They just want it for the money, which is fine. Okay, but understand you're getting the money, but pay attention to what's going on. We could be losing some of our rights and freedoms. Right? Let's be honest, we could be losing it. We don't know how this shit is going to go, how this whole quantum financial system is going to go, this new digital global economy is going to go. Like, we need to interact with each other. Of course we do. But when you control the money, and if you control the money supply, which hopefully that's where this new financial system, there is no control of money supply. There's a finite number because you can't be printing or making shit up out the ass until infinity. But as we go through all this stuff, man, like, these are important things that they're rarely discussed. They're rarely discussed. And we should really have more of an open public forum around the globe about this stuff. All these ransomware attacks. You never heard of a fucking ransomware in your life until now, right? These door-to-door targeted community, door-to-door outreach programs to, get you vaccinated. I mean, United States government or army, wherever branch it was, dropped leaflets and pamphlets during the Vietnam War, psychological warfare. Now everybody knows that, but that's part of military history that you taught when you joined the military. So I say talk about psychological propaganda and stuff like that. Like, that's literal warfare. That's what has been done in other countries. You can clearly see it's being done to us in America. It's been done to us. It's continuously being done to us. But I'm starting to see in the comments a lot of people catching on. And it gives me hope. And hope is irrational, right? Yeah, but if I'm going to have some irrational thought, well, this is the type of hope and thought that I want to have. because it's getting up there, man. People are starting to catch on. Like, you know what? A lot of this shit doesn't make sense, man. Because even though people have short-term memories, they can get on the internet and look back. You can look back at articles. You can go back to the late '80s, early '90s. They always been talking about digital money. So this shit ain't come out of nowhere. They've been playing this for decades. They had to wait for the technology to get to a certain point at the consumer level in the private sector. Because I'm sure governments can develop, have probably developed this shit a long time ago. But you had to wait till the consumer is able to handle this and accept it. That way you have mass adoption. That way you continue to enslave people throughout the world. Once again, sounds crazy, right? But when you think about it, completely plausible and very logical. And that should freak you out right there. But Delta variants, vaccinations, all this stuff, these are issues that are really important and should really be discussed. Amazon having contracts with the Pentagon. Issues that we really should contemplate, like, hey, what are we doing here? What is going on here? But don't worry, majority of people out there still don't give a fuck. They don't care, not worry about anything, and they live in La La Land. Which is wild because over this past year, La La Land been coming knocking at your door and they came and sat in your house and put their feet up on your couch and said, fuck your couch. On some Rick James shit, right? Oh man, I thought about La La Land, that fucking movie too. God damn it. I never even watched it though. But it's you have we're almost at a point where you have no choice but to pay attention because it's getting more and more relevant that they are literally trying to indoctrinate us, manipulate us, and control us as much as possible. And people are starting to get fed up with it. And people are starting to realize, hey, I'm tired of you telling me what the fuck to do. I thought I was an adult. I thought I was a free person, especially when you're talking about the so-called free society of the United States of America, which is a complete bullshit story. But yeah, I'm not talking about no slavery shit. I'm talking about, you know, your money supply and financials. And, well, you didn't go outside last year because they told you to stay inside, you know, because COVID bad. And as we see our lack of villains, because we don't have, you know, Orange Man bad. We don't have Trump in office, whatever, at least for now. We don't have no villain to go out there. We're looking for China. We can't do China because the United States has such a great, Biden really has such a great relationship with CCP in China. We got to go after Russia. And, you know, we kind of backing off in the Middle East, but don't worry, we're still going to go after Iran or somebody. And we still probably want to deal with Syria or, you get what I'm saying? Like, there's always a villain. There's always somebody to fight. And you start to notice that within the own population of the United States of America, we're fighting amongst ourselves. It's not even race anymore, right? Well, you still got it because people still want to go about race and racism and stuff. You know, to each their own. I'm going to stick with the argument that's completely illogical. And if you break down the facts of the situation and ask them serious questions about race in itself, you'll come to the same conclusion that it's irrational and makes no goddamn sense. So, but people are politics, right? You're starting to see Republicans eat each other, right? I think I seen something about Candace Owen and Casey Malik, or fuck, I forgot what her name was. Yeah, they had a little beef or whatever, or something like that. You seen amongst the Democrats and the Democrat Party is starting to go after each other and stuff, right? ESPN, Rachel Nichols and Maria Taylor, they're all starting to go after each other. Like all the woke leftists and stuff are eating each other up. The Republicans and Free Society or whatever, they're eating each other alive. Like law of polarity, duality. We always need the, you know, the black and the white, the this and the that, the yin and the yang. We always need that, even though we don't realize it all goes together and we have to work together. But we always trying to find opposing side, even though the only real villain that we'll ever face in our life is ourselves. You want to find a villain? Look in the mirror. You want to see somebody holding you back? Look in the mirror. You want to see why your life is the way your life is? Look in the mirror. I talk about my medical issues, but guess who did all that shit to me? Myself. I did this to me. I put myself in these positions. I took the chance. I took the risk. I knew what would I knew what could possibly happen when I joined the military. Even though I tried not to put myself in direct line of fire, I still knew that indirect fire was a possibility, which I had to deal with. I knew injuries was a possibility, sickness, illness was a possibility. So I did this to myself. Now, was the probability of me getting sick and stuff low, under 25%, something like that? Yes. But 1 out of 4 chance is still a 1 out of 4 chance. 1 out of 4 chance, right? 25 out of 100, right? 2 out of 10. No matter how you break the odds up, it's still a possibility. It is what it is. We don't want to talk about that. Although we all took a chance and looked at ourselves in the mirror and went internally and to figure out why the fuck we're in the position that we're in our life and why our life is the way it is, and we come to find out it is because we put ourselves there and we accept it. Well, acceptance is part of the battle. And then you can move forward. The majority of us spend the rest of our lives trying to figure out why the fuck our life is the way our life is, and then we die. Meanwhile, if we'd have just took the time to accept what happened and take responsibility and put the blame on our shoulders and pick ourselves up and move forward, we could evolve. But it's not going to happen for all of us in this lifetime. That's probably why reincarnation exists. So, you got to do things and repeat. Some of us got to die, respawn, and try again. It is what it is, man. I'll be back on tomorrow. Don't know what I'll talk about. I'll figure that shit out in the next 24 hours. Have a good day. Enjoy your life. Blah, blah, blah. So until next time.